Welcome back, my dear students. How was the quiz? Was not bad, isn't it? Good to hear that. Alright, keep it up the good work, because the more you practice, the better you're going to understand. Alright, okay, in this sub lesson we're going to talk about combined operation. We're going to use decimal, where we're going to add them, subtract them, multiply them, divide them all in one problem. How's that going to work? Well, just like we learned from fraction. Now, what do we learn from fraction? What was that rule that we must obey? Best mathematics developed at score A. Alright, so we're going to use that same principle on this one. Okay, so keep in mind, in mathematics also has some policy, some rules. You got to obey that rules. If not, you're not going to get the right answer. Okay, kind of we talked about this one toll road. Okay, there's only one entrance to the toll, and then there's 5 lanes. There are 5 cars trying to get into that. If there is no priorities or some kind of a rules, who go first, who's next, and all that, what's going to happen? There's going to be a clash. There's going to be an accident. All right, and we don't want that. The same thing with mathematics. Okay, so let's write down. Okay, what is that? Best mathematics developed at score A. Alright, so best mathematics developed at score A. Okay, so what's B stands for? Bracket. Very good. And M stands for multiplication, D stands for division. Good job. And A stands for addition, and S stands for subtraction. Okay, now that means bracket always have the priority. Okay, we give the bracket the top priority, and then followed by multiplication or division. Okay, so if multiplication division comes in the same problem, use the left to right method. Okay, so you can either do the multiplication first or division first, whichever comes first when you use the left to right approach. Okay, and same thing with the addition subtraction. If you have addition and subtraction together in a problem, always go from left to right, whichever comes first, solve that, and then next operation in between addition and subtraction. Okay, now let's put some problems out. Let's say, for example, if Mr. Mac to give you, let's say 4.2 times 1.5 divided by let's say 0.3. okay, so what are we going to do? You got multiplication and division. See that? Multiplication and division. So we're going to use the left to right method. Okay, so in other words, we're going to start with this, and then we're going to finish up with that. So we're going to multiply first, and then we're going to divide. Okay, so let's do that. So we're going to multiply. Let's take 4.2 times 1.5. And what principle are we going to use when you multiply with decimals? Exactly. Forget now, remember later. Okay, we're going to forget about the decimal. So let's just forget about the decimal. So it's going to be 42 times 15. Okay, then what do? We line them up. Okay, so we're going to line it up, 42 and 15, and we're going to multiply. Alright, 5 times 2 is 10. I'm going to put 0, carry 1. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 1 is 21. Okay, good. 1, 2. Now we're going to go with the 1. Now remember, 1's on the location. Look at the position of 1. We got to straight come down here. Very important. Okay, 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 4 is 4. Now we're going to add them. Alright, so 0, 1 plus 2 is 3, and 2 plus 4 is 6. Alright, now are we done? No, because we just multiplied. Remember, we talked about forget now, remember later. Okay, so that means we're going to find out behind the decimal how many digits are. Okay, so we got 1, 2. So there's 2 digits. Alright, that means 1, 2. So it's going to be 6.3. So we did the first part, 6.3. Now we're going to divide that by 0.3. Alright, because we completed this operation first, the multiplication. Now we're going to divide. Alright, so let's write down separately. Okay, 6.3, we're going to divide that by 0.3. So when you're dealing with division, what do? Forget it. Alright, forget it method. Alright, we're going to forget about the division, the decimal on this side. Okay, that means we want to get rid of that decimal. So how many times am I going to move it? Only once. If I move once on this, and I also have to move once. Alright, very important. Alright, so that makes this one will become 63 divided by 3. And this is outside our timetable range, so we're going to use the long division method. So when I say long division, what should come to your mind? Very good. The cage approach. Okay, so we're going to put the cage. The 63 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. And the 3 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage. In 6, there's how many 3? 2. 2 times 3 is 6. Minus, give me 0, and then bring the 3 down. In 3, there's how many 3? 1. 1 times 3 is 3. Minus gives me 0. That means I'm done. So my final answer is what? 21. So 4.2 times 1.5 divided by 0.3 equals to 21. That's my answer. That's it. Pretty easy, isn't it? So don't get panicked. Just use the rule, okay? Let's say, for example, if I give you another one. Let's say if this time I give you 3.25 minus 1.67 plus 2.2. All right? Okay. So what do we do? You got minus and plus. All right? In other words, addition and subtraction. All right? That means we're going to use the left to right method. Doesn't matter, even though addition comes first, subtraction comes next. But when you have addition and subtraction in same problem, you use the left to right. Okay? Left to right. That means you solve this first and then you solve that one. Again, use the pairing method. Okay? Okay, let's take this 2 part. Alright? So we got 3.25 minus 1.67. So when you subtracting 2 decimal, what is our approach ought to be? Very good. Grab that by the decimal and line them up. Okay, good. Grab them by the decimal and line them up. So we're going to grab this decimal, we're going to put right there. Grab that decimal and we're going to put right there. Okay, now then we're going to write it. Okay, 3 and then 2, 5 and then 1, 6, 7. See, once you grab them by the decimal, you line them up, the rest of the numbers will fall in their place value. That's the key. The key is grab it by the decimal and lining them up. That's it. Once you do that, rest of the numbers will fall in place. Okay? Alright, good. So now we're going to subtract them. Okay, always start from the very right. 5 minus 7, you can't. So you cannot. So you have to borrow from 2. 2 becomes 1, 5 becomes 15. 15 minus 7 is very good. 8. 1 minus 6, you can, so you borrow from 3, so 3 becomes 2, 1 becomes 11. 11 minus 6 is 5. Then you bring the decimal straight down. 2 minus 1, it's 1. Okay, so we completed this part of the operation. Now we're going to do the addition. So we're going to grab that decimal and line it up with this. And then we're going to put 2, 2, and then we're going to plus it. Alright, so you can put another 0 over here. Okay, remember after decimal, at the end you can add as many zeros you want because they have no value to it. So 8 plus 0 is 8, 5 plus 2 is 7, bring the decimal straight down, 1 plus 2 is 3. That's it. And that's your final answer. Alright, okay, good. Now let's combine, make it more exciting. This time we put some bracket, we have some division, some addition, some subtraction, all that. Alright, okay, let's do that. Okay, let Mr. Mac erase the board first. Okay, then we got a lot of room. Okay, I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, okay, let's say for example, if I give you a problem like this, alright, so I got 2.4 minus 1.26. And then I'm going to divide that with 0.2 and then plus 3.1 times 0.2. Is that intimidating you? It makes it scary. It's like, oh, Mr. Mac, that is such a difficult problem. It's not. Actually, it's a very easy problem as long as we use the best mathematics developed at SCOI. Alright, as long as you use that. Alright, so what does that say? B, that means bracket. Bracket as the top priority. Okay, that means whatever inside the bracket, you got to solve it first. And then next is either multiplication or division, and then addition or subtraction. Okay, so let's do that. So let's look at the problem. So which one are we going to start first? Inside the bracket. So we're going to start with this one first. Alright, so let's not worry about others first. Let's go ahead and finish up this first. Okay, so we're going to subtract. So we got 2.4 minus 1.26. we're going to grab them by the decimal. We're going to line them up. Line them up, very important. Okay, lining them up is very important. Alright, okay, so now look at that. So once we line it up, we're going to subtract. We can add a 0 behind this, okay, so that we can line them up, okay. So that means 6 can subtract with. So now 0 minus 6, you can't. So you borrow from 4. 4 becomes 3. So you borrow from 4, so 4 becomes 3, and then you put 1 to 0, 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 6 is 4. And then 3 minus 2 is 1. And then you bring the decimal straight down, alright? Then 2 minus 1 is 1. Very good. So we completed that one. Alright, now let's rewrite that. 1.14. So this whole thing is gone and then replaced with that. And divide by 0.2 plus 3.1 times 0.2. See that? Okay. Our next step is, so there's a division and multiplication. Doesn't matter. You can solve this first and then we can solve the multiplication. Okay. So let's do this one. Alright. 1.14 divided by 0.2. So let's take that part. 1.14 divided by 0.2. Now what's the principle for division on decimal? Forget it. Alright, we're going to forget it. We're going to forget the 0.2, the decimal for 0.2. Okay, not for this one. Alright, the thing is, we always want to get rid of the decimal from the divider, alright, the divider, not the dividend, alright. So we're going to get rid of the decimal for the divider. Okay, so we're going to move it. We're going to move it only once, alright. Make it into a whole number. So once it becomes a whole number, you stop it. Then you do the same thing. How many times did I move? Once. I have to do the same thing with the dividend, alright. Move it only once. So that makes it 11.4 divided by 2. So once the divider, it's become a round number, a whole number, like by moving the decimal, you stop, okay? That's it. Now you can divide, alright? So when you have something like this, you do the long division method, okay? So we're going to use the cage approach. So Mr. Mac is going to put the cage. 11.4 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. So I'm going to put 11.4. The 2 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. So now ask yourself, 1, you cannot, so you go to the next digit. 11, there's 11, there's how many? 2. 5, because we know that 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so 11 minus 10 is 1. That's a decimal right there. Bring the decimal up, bring the 4 down. So in 14, there's how many? 2. 7, because 7 times 2 is 14. So 14 minus 14 is 0. So we did this part. So this one became 5.7 plus 3.1 times 0.2. Now look at that. We got plus and multiplication. Okay, addition and multiplication. So who takes priority? Very good. Multiplication. Alright. That means I have to multiply first before I can add. See that? So let's do that. So 3.1 times 0.2. So what approach we're going to use? Forget now, remember later. For multiplication, forget now, remember later. So we're going to forget all the decimals, alright? So it's going to be 31 times 2. Right that? Okay, that means we're going to use the long multiplication method. So we're going to line it up. 2 times 1 is 2, 3 times 2 is 6. Alright? So that gives me 62. Now, are we done? No, because remember the decimal? What we said? Forget now, remember later for multiplication. So we're going to find out how many digits behind the decimal. 1, 2. There are 2 digits, okay? So we're going to count again. 1, 2. That means I'm going to put the decimal right there and then put a 0. So 3.1 times 0.2 is equals to 0.62. Okay? So that means this is 0.62 plus 5.7. Now we are adding these 2 decimals. So when we want to add, what do? You grab them by the decimal. You grab them by the decimal, you line them up. I put right there. So 5.7 and then 0.62. And then I'm going to add them. Okay? So I can put a 0 right there. 0 plus 2 is 2. 7 plus 6 is 13. And then I carry 1. See the decimal right there? I bring it straight down. 1 plus 5 is 6. So my final answer is 6.32. 6.32. See that? It's pretty easy, isn't it? Alright? So you got to break it up and do it part by part. You cannot try to solve it. Alright? Now that's a saying, you know. You cannot eat the elephant, the whole elephant. You gotta cut it into pieces. It's just a saying. Mr. Mac loves elephant. Alright? Okay? The same thing. You cannot try to solve this whole thing. Okay? You got to break it into pieces, into small parts, and then based on the rule, best mathematics developed at score A. Okay, keep in mind, bracket, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. You gotta follow that. Do not break the rules. If you break the rule, what's going to happen? You're going to get the wrong answer, okay? There won't be any punishment. You just get wrong answer. Okay, good. All right, Mr. Max is going to erase this, and let's do another one, another challenging one, okay? But we're going to do more, but let's do another challenging one, and I'll be back. All right, my dear students, let's say, for example, for Mr. Mac to have a problem, let's say 2.7 minus 3.2, and then I got a bracket, and then let's say 1.4 times 0.5, and then let's say plus 1.3, something like this. All right, I know it looks scary, isn't it? But it's not. Again, you know, we're just going to follow the principle. It's going to be really easy. Okay, good. Let's maybe make this one a bit bigger. Let's put 12. Okay, 12.7. All right, let's do it. Okay, so what's our first step? First step is make sure we know the rule, the principle, which is bracket comes first, multiplication or division next, and then addition or subtraction. Once we know that, all right, once we understand that, then we can look at this problem, and with that in mind, we should say what is going to be first thing should I do, which is the bracket. Exactly what's inside the bracket should be the first thing I should do. Okay, so that means I'm going to multiply this first. So when you multiply two decimals, you use the forget now, remember later. Okay, so we can take that apart. We can write down here 1.4 times 0.5. So I'm just going to forget the decimals. So it's going to be 14 times 5. Okay, so pretty much I'm just moving the decimal out. Okay, that means 14 times 5. So I'm going to use the long multiplication method. Okay, so 5 times 4 is 20, and then carry the 2, put the 0, 5 times 1 is 5, plus 2 is 7, so that gave me 70. Alright, now what do I do next? Bring the decimal back. Okay, because remember, forget now, remember later. How many digits are there behind the decimal? 1, 2. So I'm going to count 1, 2, and then put the decimal right there, and then put the 0. So this whole thing is 0.7. You can drop the 0, okay? Have no value to it, just put 0.7. Now, look at this. What is this really? What kind of operation is happening right here? Multiplication. Another way of showing this is by just putting 3.2 next to the bracket. That is the operation that's performing is multiplication. Keep in mind, all right? Okay, so not necessarily you have to put a multiplication, but put right next to a bracket. It's multiplying the whole thing inside the bracket. All right, okay, so that means we're just going to put a times 3.2, then minus there, then 12.7, and then plus 1.3. So which one do I do first? Exactly, multiplication, because addition and subtraction comes later. Okay, so I'm going to solve this one. So I'm going to bring those two, just the number, all right? Right now I'm just going to bring the decimal out. 3.2 times 0.7. So what method we're going to use? Forget now, remember later. Okay, so we're just going to forget the decimal. We're going to grab the decimal out. We're going to grab the decimal out. So that makes it 32 times 7. So since it's outside our timetable range, we're going to use the long multiplication method. Okay, times 7. 7 times 2 is 14. 4 carry 1. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. So that gives us 224. And then what do we do? Once we forget now, remember later. So that means we're going to remember the decimal back. How many digits are there behind the decimal? 1, 2. 1, 2. Then you put right there. Okay, now I substitute back in there. So let's rewrite that one. 12.7 minus, be careful, alright, minus 2.24. Remember, we just took this one out. We took this one and solved it, alright? So make sure you keep the minus. Plus 1.3. See that? So now you got minus and plus. So who comes first? Doesn't matter who comes first. You're going to use the left to right. Alright? So you're going to use the left to right method. Okay? That means I'm going to subtract first and then I'm going to add. So let's take that. So when I'm subtracting, what principle I use? grab them by the decimal, line them up. Grab them by the decimal, line them up. So I'm going to put 12.7 over this side, and then 2, and then 2, 4 on this side. Alright? Okay? Then I'm going to subtract. Then I'm going to add a 0 behind it. So now 0 minus 4, I cannot. So I borrow from 7, 7 becomes 6, 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 4, 6. 6 minus 2, 4. Bring the decimal straight down. 2 minus 2, 0, and then bring 1. So that becomes 10.46 for this 2. Now we're going to add that with 1.3. So I grab the decimal, line that up with there. Then I put 1 here and 3 there, and then I just add them. Okay, I can put a 0 behind it. Okay, 0 plus 6, give me 6. 4 plus 3 is 7. Bring the decimal down. 0 plus 1 is 1. And then bring 1 down. And my final answer is 11.76. 11.76. Alright? Now let's say, for example, if I were to give you a problem like this. If I were given you 0.4 plus 2.75. Okay, and then I'm going to divide that with 0.5. Look at this. When you have something like this, how do I do this? Actually, what this is, if I had to rewrite this, this is actually 0.4 plus 2.75 bracket. This line is what we know from our fraction. What kind of line is that? The dividing line. The divide 0.5. That's what it is. Pretty much like arrow down method. Okay, 0.4 plus 2.75, and the whole thing we're dividing. That's why you put the bracket 0.5. Okay, see that? So now how we do that? So we solve what's inside the bracket first, and then we divide. Okay, so when I want to add that, what do? I grab them by the decimal, line them up. So I'm going to put one decimal here, another decimal there. Then I'm going to take 0.4 and then 2.75. Then I'm going to add them. Now I can add a 0 behind this. Okay, 0 plus 5 is 5. 4 plus 7 is 11. I carry 1. See the decimal? Let's bring straight down. 1 plus 0 plus 2 is 3. So it gives me 3.15. So I can substitute back right here. 3.15. Divide that with 0.5. Now this is the dividend and this is the divisor. Our goal is what? When you're dividing two decimal, forget it. That means for the divisor, we're going to forget the decimal. We want to get rid of the decimal. So I'm going to move it how many times? Once. Okay, there's only one digit there. So I just move once. Not to get rid of the decimal. That means I do the same thing here, only move once. So that makes it 31.5 divided by 5. Okay, so what method do I use? The long division method. Okay, when I say the word long division, what should come to your mind? Exactly, the cage approach. Okay, I'm going to put the cage. The 31.5 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. And the 5 is kind of out. I'll put outside the cage. Okay, so now ask yourself, in 3 there's how many 5? None. Go to the next digit. So this will become 31. In 31 there's how many 5? Very good. From the timetable, 6 times 5 is 30. So 6 times 5 is 30 minus 1 minus 0 is 1. 3 minus 3 is 0. See the decimal right there? Bring it up. Very important. Bring it up. Okay. Then bring the 5 down. In 15 there's how many 3? Very good. 3, because 3 times 5 is 15. So that gives you 0. Once you're done, you don't have to worry about adding any more zeros. Okay. So the answer is 6.3. 31.5 divided by 5 is 6.3. Now, since we forget the decimal, do we bring it back? No, not for division. Once you forget it, it's gone. You don't have to worry about it to bring it back. But with multiplication, you have to forget now, remember later. You have to bring the decimal back, but not with division. Okay, our goal is to make the divisor to be a round number, whole number. Okay, so that's the purpose. Okay, once you get it off the decimal, you don't bring it back. That's it. This is the answer, 6.3. all right, okay, good. So see, that looks so complicated, but it's not, isn't it? If you use all the tools that we learned, if you apply it, it should be so easy. Okay, alright my dear students, look like you learned a lot on this combined operation. Alright, that shows what? You should be ready for your hands-on practice. That's right. Alright, let's do some hands-on practice. Okay, alright, give me a few seconds. I'm going to get the board ready and let's check and see what's Pablo doing. He is busy. He is busy putting the worksheet for us. Alright, good. Alright, let's not call him right now. Let Mr. Mac get the board ready and then we'll call him out. Okay, I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, my dear students, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you sure you're ready? I know you are. So you are ready to do some hands-on practice? Good. Well, let's call Pablo out. Alright, let Mr. Mac call him. Pablo! Come on over, Pablo. Our dear students are ready for some hands-on practice. Hand over, Pablo. Have fun with it and be sure to pause the video and then come back and have Mr. Mac in. Alright? Have fun. Okay, good. Let's look at it. Alright. Whoa! He gave you 9 problems. It's a pretty piece of cake, isn't it? I'm sure you used that best mathematics developed X score A. If you use that, it shouldn't be that difficult. Alright? Good. Okay, let's do it together. Okay, let's first write that down. Okay? Best mathematics developed at score A. Okay? Good. By using that, we shouldn't have any problem. So let's look problem number 1. So it says, A, solve the following. Okay? A, 1A. We were given 6.48 minus 4.794 plus 3.2. So which one comes first? When you have minus and plus, subtraction and addition, you don't decide which one comes first. You use the left to right method, alright? Left to right. So in other words, we're going to use the left to right. So in other words, we're going to solve this first and then that. Alright? Always make use of this pairing method, okay? So pair them. Solve this two and then that. Alright? So we're going to subtract first. So what are you going to do? We're going to grab them by the decimal, line them up. Grab them by the decimal, we're going to line them up. Alright? And then we're going to grab that one, line them up. Okay? So that is 6 and then 4 and then 8. And then we got 4, 7, 9, 4. And we're going to subtract. Alright? So what do you do next? Look at that. You can put a 0 right there. So that means you got number 2, subtract 4 with. Okay? So let's start the very right. 0 minus 4, you cannot. So you borrow from 8. 8 becomes 7. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 4, 6. 7 minus 9, you cannot. You borrow from 4. 4 becomes 3. 7 becomes 17. 17 minus 9, very good, 8. 3 minus 7, you cannot borrow from 6. 6 becomes 5. 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 7, 6. Very good. And then you bring the decimal straight down. 5 minus 4 is 1. Alright, so you completed this part. Then that means 1.686. Now you're going to plus with 3.2. So we grab that 3.2 and the decimal right there, put right there, and then 3 and 2. Okay, we plus that. Now you can add 0 behind it. So 6 plus 0 is 6, 8 plus 0 is 8, 6 plus 2 is 8. Bring the decimal down, 1 plus 3 is 4. So your final answer should be 4.886. And I know you got it. Alright, good. Okay, let's look problem number B. So B, you're given 4.8 divided by 0.8 times 1.2. Again, we're going to use the pairing method. But before we do that, who comes first? The multiplication division or division multiplication? Doesn't matter. When you have multiplication division together, you use the left to right method. Okay, use the left to right method. Alright, that means you solve the what comes first operation. In this case is division, and then I'm going to multiply. Okay, so we're going to take 4.8 divided by 0.8 apart. Alright, we're going to take this one and then solve that first. So when you're dividing decimals, so what's our principle? Okay, what method we're going to use? Very good, forget it method. Okay, the divisor, we're going to forget the decimal. In other words, we're going to take it out, alright? We're going to move it how many times? Only once, because the goal is to make the divisor to be a whole number, a round number, alright? So that means I moved once, that means I have to do the same thing with the dividend. Dividend also have to move it once, alright? Okay, that makes it 48 divided by 8. Now, what method am I going to use? Exactly. Well, actually, this is our timetable, right? This is in our timetable range. So, 48 divided by 8. So, what times 8 gives me 48? Very good. 6 times 8, alright? Okay, 6 times 8, alright? So, it should be 6. And that means the final answer is 6. Okay, good. Does that make sense? Because we don't bring the decimal back. Because for division, you forget it. That means you don't bring the decimal back. That's your final answer. Alright, good. Okay, now let's look problem number C. Now C, you're given 1.12 plus 0.98 bracket divided by 0.7. Ask yourself, who go first? Addition or division? No, we don't make that decision by that. Why? Because there's a bracket. The bracket says, you go first. I've top priority. See that? Look at that. Bracket, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So it doesn't matter what's inside the bracket. You solve that first before you divide. Okay? So keep in mind, even this addition and subdivision, even the division, if there's a no bracket, has priority towards addition, but this one became priority because of the bracket. Okay, what's inside the bracket need to be solved first. Okay, good. So we're going to add this too. So how are we going to do it? Grab them by the decimal. So we're going to grab them by the decimal, line them up. Line them up. Very important, lining them up. Okay, so 1, 1, 2, and then 0, 9, 8. So we're going to plus them. 2 plus 8 is 10, 0, 1, 1 plus 1 is 2, 2 plus 9 is 11, 11 carry 1, 1 plus 2 is 2, 1 plus 1 is 2, okay, so 1 plus 1 is 2, so it becomes 2.1, we drop the 0, okay, this one becomes 2.1, we can divide that with 0.7. Now we can divide, alright? So we solve inside the bracket, we gave us 2.1 right there. Now we're going to divide 0.7. So when you divide, what's the principle? Or what method we're going to use? Forget it method, alright? So that means we're going to forget the divisor's decimal. That means we're going to remove the divisor's decimal. If we move it once, I have to move it once to this one too. So it becomes 21 divided by 7. So 21 divided by 7 is 3. Very good. It's 3. Because that's in a timetable range. Okay, this whole thing is 3. See that? Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, good. Alright, let's look problem number D. D, you're given 2.98 minus 1.69 times 1.4. But look at the bracket. Alright, the moment you see the bracket, it should tell you, whatever's inside the bracket got to be done first. Then I'm going to multiply. See that? Whatever inside the bracket got the top priority. So in this case it's subtracting. So I'm going to grab them by the decimal and then line them up. So I'm going to put decimal right there, decimal right there. So I got 2.98 and then 169. I'm going to subtract. Alright, so start from the very right. 8 minus 9, you cannot subtract, so you borrow from 9. 9 becomes 8, 8 becomes 18. 18 minus 9 is 9. 8 minus 6 is 2. And then you bring the decimal straight down. 2 minus 1 is 1. So it gives you 1.29. So 1.29 times 1.4. So now how do we do that? When it comes to multiplication with decimal, what method are we going to use? Exactly. Forget now, remember later. Okay, we're going to forget the decimals. Okay, so it's going to be 129 times 14. Okay, so pretty much we're moving the decimals out for right now. See that? So I moved it twice on this one, once on that one. The total time I moved it was 3 times. All right. Okay, so what do we do? So such a big number like this, we multiply the long multiplication. We're going to put 129 times 14. Always put the big number on the top, small number on the bottom when you're multiplying. Okay, so 4 times 9 is, right, let me write over here so we got more room here. 1, 2, 9 times 14, okay? So 4 times 9 is 36. So I'm going to put 6, 3. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 1, carry 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. See that? And then 1. See that? Straight down. Be careful, alright? Very important. Straight down. Start right here. 1 times 9 is 9. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 1 is 1. Then I'm going to add them. 9, 6, 10, 0, carry 1, because 1 plus 9 is 10, 0, carry 1, 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 2 is 8, and then 1, okay? And then what do? I bring the decimal back, okay? This one gave me 1,806, but I got to bring the decimal back. How many times did I move? 3 times. That means I bring it back by moving it 3 times back. That means 1, 2, 3. Then I put the decimal right there. Alright, that's another way. If you move it 3 times out, that means 1, 2, 3. See that? Or how many digits behind the decimal? 1, 2, 3. Same thing. 1, 2, 3. Put the decimal. Okay? So that means your final answer is 1.806. Okay? So very important with the multiplication. When you use the approach, forget now, remember later. Once you've removed the decimal, you gotta bring it back, okay? Good. Alright, let's do problem number E. Before we do that, let's erase the board, okay? Alright, I'll be back with you in a few seconds. Alright, let's do E, okay? Let's look at E right now. Okay, I know. I'm sure you felt the same way too, but after you use this principle, it's a piece of cake, am I right? Okay, E is 4.3 times 2.2 minus 3.6 plus 0.2 times 2.4 plus 1.6. Where is Pablo? Pablo! I know, but it's going to be easy. How are we going to do it? Remember I told you earlier. You can't eat a whole elephant. You gotta cut them into pieces. It's just a saying, alright? In reality, we don't eat elephants. Alright, okay. So what are you going to do? We're going to break them up, alright? So first, you know that what takes priority? Bracket, okay? So everything inside the bracket got to be solved first, okay? So we're going to start with this one. What's inside the bracket? It's addition, it's adding, alright? So we're going to grab that by the decimal. We're going to add them first. Line them up. So we got 2.4 and 1.6. We're going to add them, alright? So 4 plus 6 is 10, 0, carry 1, then bring the decimal down. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 1 is 4. So it gives you 4.0. So we're going to put 4.0 right here. Alright? So then actually you can just put 4, you can just drop it, the 0, okay, because no value to it, you can just put 4. Now remember this 2 is doing what? Multiplying, alright? So we're just going to put multiply just to make it easier, alright? And then we're going to put plus 3.6 and then we're just going to rewrite everything back. Okay, we're going to do step by step, okay? Don't try to rush. That's the key. On this type of problem, if you rush, that's a tendency to make a mistake, okay? So just let's follow by that. Bracket, we finished it. Alright, no more bracket. So just let's take this bracket out so it won't confuse you. There you go. Because what's inside the bracket? We added, gave us 4, okay? So what's going to be next? We got multiplication here, and a multiplication here, and then addition and subtraction, alright? So we can use the left to right approach, okay? For right now, because we got multiplication, multiplication. We're going to solve this multiplication first, and then that multiplication next, alright? And then we'll come to the addition and subtraction. So let's do this one. So 4.3 times 2.2. What method we're going to use? Forget now, remember later, okay? So we're going to take 4.3 times 2.2. So we're going to remove the decimal, so it becomes 43 times 22. And big numbers you're multiplying. So we're going to use the long multiplication method. So we're going to line them up, alright? Line them up. Alright, so now we start with 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. Then we're going to get this 2. Raise comes straight down, alright? So it comes straight down. Okay, we're going to start right here. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 4 is 8. We're going to add them. 6. 8 plus 6 is 14. So 4 carry 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Alright? Now we bring the decimal back. How many times did we move? 1, 2. Or how many digits are there behind the decimal? 1, 2. So 1, 2. Right there. It becomes 9.46. So we can put right there. 9.46 minus 3.6 plus 0.2 times 4. Alright? So what are we going to do next? We're going to solve this one. We're going to multiply this one. Alright? So we're going to take 0.2 times 4. Again, we can say forget now, remember later. So we're going to forget this decimal. Okay? There is no decimal, just leave it the way it is. So we're going to times 2 times 4 is 8. Because that's in our timetable range. Now we're going to bring the decimal back. So the decimal is right here for 8. So we're going to bring it back 1. Because there's only 1. See that? So it becomes 0.8. So we can write down here 0.8 plus 3.6 minus here and then 9.46. So you got subtraction and addition. So what are you going to do? Left to right method, alright? So we're going to use left to right. So we're going to solve this first and then that one, alright? So we're going to grab them by the decimal, line them up. So 9.46, 3.6 minus. And then you can add a 0 right there. 6 minus 0 is 6. 4 minus 6, you can borrow from 9. 9 becomes 8. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. Bring the decimal straight down. 8 minus 3 is 5. Right there. Okay? So it'll be this. So this 2 becomes 5.86. Now you're adding with 0.8. So you grab that by the decimal, line it up right there. And then we're going to put 8 and 0 right there. We're going to add them. 6, then you can put a 0 right there. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 8 is 16. 1, carry 1. See the decimal right there? Bring it down. 1 plus 5 is 6. So it gives you 6.66. Alright? So that's your final answer. See, pretty easy, isn't it? It's not that difficult. The key is what? Understanding that best mathematics developed at score A, alright? Knowing that the priorities, who comes first, bracket, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. Once you realize that, alright? Then next thing is, such a big problem like this shouldn't intimidate you, shouldn't make you scared, alright? Because why, you're a score A math victory student, you're Mr. Max student, alright? Mr. Max student will never let any mathematics problem look at you and scare you or intimidate you. You look back to that problem and you say, I'm in control. Why? Because you are score A math victory student, alright? And also you're Mr. Max student. Okay. So we broke it out. So we start with the priority, the bracket first. So we did a bracket first, and then we did a multiplication next, and then we did the subtraction and addition based on the left to right method. Alright? Okay, good. Wow. Thank you, Pablo, for challenging my student. They feel so good about it because you got it right. Am I right? I know you did. Okay, good. Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board and we'll go to the next problem. Alright? Give me a few seconds and I'll be back. Alright, let's do problem F, okay? Alright, good. Okay, problem F, you're given 0.02 times 1.2 plus 2 over 0.04. Alright, look at the problem. Try to understand. It's pretty much like this. It's a fraction. The top number divided by the bottom number. That's what it is. So that means what? This whole thing here has to be combined first, has to be solved first, before I can divide with the denominator decimal. Alright? See that? So in other words, if I had to rewrite this thing, it would be what? Using the arrow down method. 0.02 times 1.2 plus 2. See, the whole thing has to be solved first. Then I can divide that, because that line is a division line, 0.04. Right there. See that? It's just that it's been expressed in a different form. But you translate that into the way that you know how to solve it. It's solvable, okay? Which is this right there. Alright? Okay, so what's inside the bracket has to be solved first. And yet, look at the inside the bracket also have some priorities involved. Multiplication and addition. Who comes first? Multiplication. So I have to multiply first and then I add. After I've done everything inside the bracket, then only I can divide. See that? Mathematics is like a game. See that? It's just like puzzles, isn't it? It's just figuring out how to put those pieces together. And that's what it's all about. Once you know it, you understand, and you should be able to put the pieces together. Alright? That's why Mr. Mac is here. To show you the way how to put the puzzles together, the pieces together. Alright? Alright, let's do it. Okay? So we're going to multiply first. So let's take this to decimal out. So we got 0.02. Okay, let's write down over here. Okay? 0.02 times 1.2. Alright? When you multiply, what are we going to do? What method we're going to use? Forget it. Forget now, remember later, okay? Forget now. We're going to just forget the decimal. We moved it out. Okay? So that means 2 times 12. And that's in our timetable range. 2 times 12 is 24. But remember, forget now, remember later. That means we're going to bring the decimal back. So we're going to find out how many digits are there behind the decimal. 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2. So in other words, there's only 2. Doesn't matter. You add another 0 in front of that and then put the decimal. Or another way of doing it is, see the decimal's right there. You bring it back 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And then put the decimal right there. Okay, the first bubble got 4 in it, second bubble got 2 in it, third bubble nothing, you put the 0. So now it becomes 0.024. Alright, by multiplying this. Then I'm going to add that with 2. Okay, and then 2. So I'm going to line it up with 2 right there. 0, 0, 0. Okay, so it becomes 2.024. Okay, because 4 plus 0 is 4, 2 plus 0 is 2, 0 plus 0 is 0, 0 plus 2 is 2. Then bring the decimal down. Pretty easy, isn't it? Okay, so that means this, we take that, we replace it inside the bracket. This is what it turned out to be after we completed what's inside the bracket. Divide by 0.04. Keep in mind, once you've completed what's inside the bracket, remove the bracket. So now it's 2.024 divided by 0.04. So how do you do that? When you divide. That's right, forget it. Okay, we're going to use the forget it method. Only the divisor. Divisor is going to do the forget it method. Alright, in other words, we're going to make the divisor to be round number, whole number. So we're going to move the decimal out. How many times? 1, 2. If I move the if I move the divisor's decimal out, I got to do the same thing with the dividend. Also, how many times did I move it out? How many times did I move? 2 times. That means I have to do the same thing with the dividend twice. Then I stop right there. I can't go any more than that because this makes the decision. How many times I move, that has to follow. How many times it had to move. Alright? Okay, so that makes it this one. 202.4 divided by 4 right there. Alright? Okay, that means we're going to use the long division method. Okay, when I say long division, we're going to use the cage approach. 202.4 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. And 4 is kind of out from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage. Alright? Start with 2. We cannot. Go to the next one. 20. In 20 there's 74. 5. Because 5 times 4 is 20. Minus gives me 0. Bring the 2 down. In 2 there's 74. 0. Alright? Make sure you bring the decimal up. Very important. Alright? Now bring the 4 down. In 24 there's 74. 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Alright? 6 times 4 is 24. Minus gives me 0. That's it. That's the end of it. Okay? So when we divide this, give me 50.6. Now do I bring the decimal back? No, not with the division. Because the method we used for division is forget it. Forget it. When you forget something, you're not going to remember back. But multiplication, forget now, remember later. Okay, good. Alright, that's the answer for problem number F. Okay, the problem letter F. Alright, good. Let's go to the next one, G. Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board again. I'll be back. Alright, let's do problem G. Okay, so problem G, you're given, alright, 3 over 4 divided by 0.5 minus 0.74 plus 1.24. Look at that. You got a fraction in there. Oh no! Is that mean it's going to be difficult? No, it's not. Why? Just change the fraction to decimal. And we know how to do that. Am I right? Use the arrow down method. So 3 divided by 4. See that? 3 divided by 4. So let's do that. So 3 divided by 4. We're going to use the long division method. Alright? So the 3 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put inside the cage. 4 is kind of out. I'm going to put outside the cage. In 3 there's how many 4? 0. Then I'm going to put a decimal, add a 0. That means I'm going to put a decimal up there too. In 30 there's how many 4? 7. Because we know 7 times 4 is 28. Minus 30 minus 28 is 2. Then I'm going to add another 0, bring the 0 down, and then 20. In 20 there's how many 4? 5. So 5 times 4 is 20, minus gives me 0. So 3 over 4 is 0.75 divided by 0.5 minus 0.74 plus 1.24. See that? Just an extra step you got to make. You have to do. Not to, So now you got all in the form of decimals. So now you should be able to do. Division takes the priority because there's no brackets. I'm going to do the division first. Okay, I'm going to do this first, and then I'm going to subtract with that, and then I'm going to add with that. All right? Okay, good. Let's do that. Okay, we're going to take that one apart. Okay, let's take that one aside. 0.75. I'm going to divide that with 0.5. Division. What method? Forget it, alright? For the divisor, okay? We're going to move it once. That means I'm going to do the ones for the dividend as well. So that makes it 7.5 divided by 5, okay? So we're going to use the long division method. We're going to use the cage approach. 7.5 is kind of into Mr. Mac. I'm going to put it inside the cage. 5 is kind of away from Mr. Mac. I'm going to put outside the cage, alright? In 7, there's how many 5? 1. 1 times 5 is 5. Minus 7 minus 5 is 2. And then I'm going to decimal there. I'm going to bring the decimal up. I'm going to bring the 5 down. In 25, there's how many 5? 5. Very good, because 5 times 5 is 25. Minus gives me 0. That's the end of it. Okay? Very important. Pay attention to this decimal right there. Don't miss it out. This decimal always got to go up, straight up. Okay? If you forget, it'll become 15 and it's a wrong answer. Alright? The decimal has been, now it's 1.5. The decimal is very important, okay? So we know this is going to be 1.5 minus 0.74 plus 1.24. So we're going to combine this. We're going to solve that one first, that operation. Okay, we're going to grab them by the decimal, line them up. Line them up. So 1.5 minus 0.74 minus. So I can add a 0 behind this. So I can minus the subtract with 4. So 0 minus 4 I cannot. So I borrow from 5. 5 becomes 4. 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 4 minus 7 I cannot. Borrow from 1. 1 becomes 0. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 7, 7. Bring the decimal down. 0 minus 0 is 0. Okay. So I completed that. Now I want to add with that. So I grab the decimal, line them up. So 1, 2, 4. Add them. 6 plus 4, 10. 0, carry 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 2 is 10. Very good. 0, carry 1. Be sure to bring the decimal down. Very important. Straight down. 1 plus 0 plus 1 is 2. So it's 2.00. Do we leave as 2.00? You know. The 0, 0 has no value. You drop it and write it as a 2. So your final answer is 2. Right there. I know, you got it right. Good job. I know this is a challenging problem and you're doing good. That shows you're learning well. That shows you are the best. Because you belong to Score A Math Victory. That's why you're best. Alright? Okay, good. Alright, let's do the next one. H. Alright, let Mr. Mac erase the board, okay? And I'll be back in a few seconds. Alright, problem H, okay? Okay, let's write that down. H, you got a bracket. Inside the bracket, you got 3.9 minus 1.2. And you're subtracting that with 0.642. Actually dividing, okay? Divide, and then you got a bracket, 0.642 plus 0.258. Alright? Now look at that. You got a bracket here, bracket there, and then you're dividing in the middle, alright? So what do you do? Exactly, what's inside the bracket? We solve it first. and then we will divide. Okay, so let's start with this one. So we're going to use the grab the decimal, line them up, okay, and then we're going to subtract them. 3.9 and then 1.2. So we're going to subtract. 9 minus 2 is 7, 3 minus 1 is 2. So bring the decimal straight down. Alright, and this one we're going to add them. So again, grab them by the decimal. Alright, 0.642, grab that decimal, line it up, and then 0.258 plus. 2 plus 8 is 10. Carry 1. 1 plus 4 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. 0, carry 1. 1 plus 6 is 7. 7 plus 2 is 9. And then bring the decimal straight down, and then 0. Alright, so let's rewrite that. So we did this part and this part, so which is 2.7. We take the bracket out because we already solved it. Divide. We add this 2, give us 0.900. This 0 has no value. I'm just going to drop it. Okay, so I'm just going to write down 0.9. Alright, so we are dividing 2 decimals. So what method we're going to use? Forget it. Forget it. That means the divisor, we're going to just remove the decimal. If I move it once, I got to move it one also for the divider. Okay, the dividend. I'm sorry, the dividend. So I have to also move one time for the dividend as well, based on how many times I move on the divisor. So divisor makes the decision. My goal is always to make divisor to be whole number, round number, no decimals. All right. Okay, so that makes this one 27 divided by 9. And what's 27 divided by 9? It's our timetable range, which is 3. Okay, we don't have to use the long division method. Alright, good. Now let's look problem I. Alright, I, you're given 3.6 divided by 0.6 times 2, 1 over 5. Should be easy, isn't it? All you can do what? Change that to a decimal. Alright, what method will you use? Exactly. Alright, so first we got to make this into improper fraction. So we're going to use the semi-rotation method. Alright, we multiply first and then we add next. So 5 times 2 is what? 10. 10 plus 1, 11. So 11 over 5. Okay, so we're going to rewrite this. So we're going to write, so let's take this aside. Alright, let's do that. 2, 1 over 5. Okay, we're going to use the semi-rotation method. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so which is 11 over 5. And then we're going to use the arrow down method so that we can change that into a division. Alright, that means 11 divided by 5. And we're going to use the long division method. Okay, so we're going to use the cage approach. 11 is kind of into Mr. Mag, I'm going to put it inside the cage. 5 kind of out, I'll put outside the cage. In 1 we cannot go to the next digit. 11 is how many? 5. 2 times 5 is 10, minus 11 minus 10 is 1. I'm going to put a decimal, and then I'm going to put a decimal right there, add a 0, bring the 0 down. In 10 there's how many? 5. 2 times 5 is 10 minus 0. See that? So that means if I have to rewrite this whole thing, is 3.6 divided by 0.6 times 2.2. See? 2.2. Now, what do? Just use the left to right method, because division and multiplication. When you have a division and multiplication, what do? Either one of them by using the left to right. Okay? Doesn't matter which one comes first, as long as you use the left to right method. Okay? So we're going to do the division first and then we're going to multiply. So we got 3.6 dividing with 0.6. So the divisor is as a decimal. So I want to get rid of that decimal. Forget it method. Okay, so I'm going to remove that. That means I have to remove this one also. Becomes 36 divided by 6. That gives me 6. Okay, so this one becomes 6. Now you got 6 times 2.2. And you're multiplying. Forget now, remember later. That means 6 times 2.2. I'm going to forget the decimal. I'm going to be 22. Divide up 22. Multiply that with 6. Alright. So how do you do that? Long multiplication. Okay, it's outside our timetable range. When you have a big number multiplying with a small number, always put the big number on the top. And then they multiply by small number at the bottom. 6 times 2, 12. 2 carry 1. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 1 is 13. So 132. Am I done? No, because why? We got to bring the decimal back. Multiplication, forget now, remember later. So there you go, we're going to remember right now. So we bring it back 1, because there's only 1 digit behind the decimal. So we're going to say that, bring it back. So it becomes 13.2. So the final answer for this problem is 13.2. And that's the answer. 13.2. Wow, that's the end of it. Very good. Good. All right, so give us 13.2. Okay, good. Whoa, that's a long journey. Okay, good. Well, that's good that you practiced so much. All right, hands-on practice on so many problems really made you good. All right, and plus you're always the champion. You are a champion. You're the best. And that's why Mr. Mac and Pablo always want to bring the best for you. And that's why Pablo did. He gave you the best. So to challenge you, because you deserve the best. And remember, it's always coming from the best, okay? Now, good. Now, that should prepare you for your quiz, okay? Alright, my dear students, go get them. Now, remember, this is our end of our lesson on decimal. So, be sure to come back and see Mr. Mac on the next lesson. I'll be here waiting for you, okay? But be sure to come back after you're done your quiz, okay? Good. Alright, have fun. And I'll see you soon. Make sure to take a break before you do your quiz, alright? Because that's a long journey. Okay, good. Bye-bye.